We're trying to figure this out. Hold on a second.
It's amazing the production value here at Fern between us. But welcome. Thank you for joining us. It is episode 93 of A Fern Between Us.
We are two of the four owners of Vivoc Winery. My name's Jesse.
I'm Michelle. And we're skating into this.
Sorry for the shirt. I didn't have time to change.
Or did he?
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about Chardonnay. We're going to do a tasting between the very, very new Chardonnay that they just bottled today versus the Chardonnay, which is the previous vintage, which is currently out for market, and see what the differences are, and we're going to talk about that. But
there we go.
First, we're going to do a little check-in. So, what's up, fucker?
Hey, we're not supposed to swear on this show. We just decided literally like 15 seconds ago, don't swear. You already got the stupid shirt.
Well, you know.
Let's see, what's up with me? Nothing. We're just bottling. I'm learning how to ski again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got some good snow this week, last week, last couple of weeks. The snow's good up there right now. It's awesome.
Which is amazing. And so one of the things that actually I was thinking of closing the show with, but since you bring it up, let's talk about it now. You guys can run into the winemakers up at TSV, Taos Ski Valley, quite often. I mean,
if you can recognize us between our helmet and our goggles, and so then you just see this part. If you can recognize me from there.
You guys aren't wearing any Vivoc logo-ness? Wow.
We need little stickers for our helmets or something.
We sell stickers.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that amazing?
What do I need, $1.50? I'm just guessing.
You know what? I'll let you have one for free. So that would be a good idea. Just throwing it out there. Anyway.
Never occurred to me, but yeah. I'll put one on each helmet I got.
I know you and Chris and Chris's kids, Maddox and Chablis, have been having a fantastic time. Just beasts on the mountain. It's amazing. So much fun. And you've now gone from telemarking to skiing, which is a transition. Is that weird?
Back to Alpine? No, it's the same thing.
Oh, right. Alpine.
Telemark and Alpine are, I feel like telemark is kind of like just more of a slightly more artistic expression of skiing, but it's about the same. They translate so easily that I immediately
like fighting words. And I am not a great skier, so
no. But I immediately transitioned into telemark when I decided to do that, and I immediately transitioned out. I don't feel like I gained or lost any skill either time.
Yeah.
It took me a day or two to figure out telemark slightly, but then I was doing the exact same stuff.
Now that looks like really painful lunges all the way down the mountain.
That's why I quit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all right, so a couple years ago I hadn't gotten into bike riding again or whatever, and I just didn't feel like my legs were strong enough. Yeah, all the muscles in my legs were strong enough to not break something. Like I thought I was going to tear out a knee for sure at some point just because I was so tired. I wasn't in shape enough, and I wasn't getting it done all summer or all year. Now I feel like I could probably go back and not be as worried about it or whatever, and I may get a second pair and do that sometimes if I continue to try to be in shape. I know I'm overweight now, but I'm stronger than I was then.
Yeah,
even less.
That totally makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Makes sense, and it rings true for me because I have a hard time. I have been not working out for so long because I had the brain tumor, and then I got into like, oh, I'm feeling better and I'm healthy, and then my ligaments had so much damage from the high cortisol that then I kept damaging things. So I popped out my shoulder, I blew out my ankle.
Bad.
Like,
Bad,
so
bad.
And so we were pretty sure I needed surgery there. I mean, it's been so long since I felt really strong in my body, even though the muscles were there and I felt good. And then I started skiing again. Then I ended up with rheumatoid arthritis, and everything hurt so badly before they could really diagnose it. Yep. Because I'm young and I just like to throw weird things at my doctor. And
who I'm skiing with a couple times so far, and probably going to continue the rest of the year, I assume.
Yeah. Who's also really part of my family and that I grew up with. So it's awesome. I love hearing that you're skiing with him and also not pressuring me, because I think I might hurt myself. But I was just talking to Denali about getting back out and getting our stuff together. And
let's do it.
I really do feel like I accidentally bought aggressive downhill ski boots and skis from my sister, and have now realized that's for sure not the fit for me. But he's taking over that equipment and busted his previous skis, so now I can take the new ones that he bought. I think it's going to work out. I really do. I think that Denali and I can hit the slopes, at least the baby slopes, and start getting out there again, especially with the good snow. You
should post a picture of that blown out edge. It's incredible.
Oh yeah.
Even the guys at the shop were like, I've never seen one blown out that hard. Yeah, I last weekend it's just like the ski was gone. They're like, we've got a dumpster out back. I was like, I've got a dumpster. So sure enough, I took a picture and then I threw them away.
Yeah. So we'll post that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you guys will be able to see them. We'll get some stickers on their helmets, and then you can recognize them.
There we go.
Which is fun. All right. So the check-in was supposed to actually not be about skiing, but whatever. That's okay.
Tangent.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. But what I wanted to talk about as we check in is we mentioned it's our 20th year anniversary.
Oh yeah, that little thing.
We're celebrating all year. 20 years since we opened our tasting room, which is insane.
25 years since we were founded.
Yes. I mean, what? And I'm only 23.
Right?
How did
that amazing.
Happen? I know.
I married a baby.
Well, I do kind of cry a lot. But so one of the things is that we have just decided, the four of us met, which, believe it or not, actually doesn't happen as often as you would think. We meet for fun.
Management team meeting this time.
This was 100% on point. We were talking business. And because we all worked together so well, we rarely need to powwow about something, which is really nice. But also, 20th year, big deal. Mm-hmm. So we have decided that we are going to have a very special wine that we release this year. Jesse, what is it?
For the first time ever, and maybe only time ever, we'll see.
Maybe only on special anniversary years.
Maybe. We are going to do a Beaujolais Nouveau. I guess it's not called a Beaujolais Nouveau if we're not from Beaujolais. So it'll be a Nouveau in this a la Beaujolais.
Yes, exactly.
We don't know which grape we're using.
And it's also not going to be Gamay because we can't get Gamay. So
we're going to look around, but if we can't get New Mexico Gamay, we're going to do it out of I don't know what grape.
I thought you guys said Pinot Meunier from our vineyard.
Probably Pinot Meunier from our vineyard. I had forgotten that today. When Chris and I were talking about it, what should we use? I don't know.
Oh my
Neither of us remembered. Anyway, the girls wrote notes. We're good. It will be probably almost for sure Pinot Meunier from our vineyard.
From our 1725 vineyard.
First production. All right. The only way this won't be true is if there is no production or low production on,
right.
And we may have to supplement or with something else or whatever. But we're going to do a carbonic maceration, which nobody knows what that is.
And happened to be a question already, so we will get to that in just a second.
And 3 weeks later, we release it as is. We do our best to make it palatable, and then we all party for. In Beaujolais, they do it every year for the new vintage. It's the first wine from the grapes we just harvested last month. That kind of thing.
It's a celebration of the end of harvest.
The end of harvest.
Which is also called crush, and it is crushing. It is very hard for everybody involved.
It's often a little sparkly, or...
It does often have a little effervescence, but it is... I'm like, don't describe it anymore. Like, you are killing me.
Okay. So
it is fun. It is very fruity. It is dry, but it's gone all the way through fermentation, but it's got real big fruit.
Yeah.
Often has a little bit of effervescence, but it's not sparkling. And is meant to be young, fun, not serious.
And it will be.
It's a party wine.
So we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary of opening. The weekend of October 15th. We don't know exactly the days or the times or the
October 15th is the Sunday, so it could be the 14th, which would be Saturday, but we're going to let you know.
October 13th, 14th, 15th. We'll talk all kinds about it on the socials and all that. But it's going to be our big 20th party.
Yeah, probably be a winemaker dinner in the vineyard. And if you aren't familiar with Beaujolais Nouveau, you should really look into it, because people will flip out over the French version. And so often people contact their local markets, wine cellars, and reserve a case or two and have big parties. If you haven't been to one, they're usually off the hook. And so
these are always a wine that's like meant to be drank just now. Have fun. This is awesome. Not to like sit there taking a real serious.
Like New Year's Eve at the countdown when you're just
So we're gonna do it at 12:01 on one of those days.
Yeah, it'll probably be 12:01 in the afternoon.
In the afternoon, not in the
12:09 at night. But we do have neighbors, and they probably wouldn't like that. But.
We'll do it 12:01 in the afternoon, one of those days. That weekend.
It'll be super fun. So keep an eye out for that, and it will have a special label. It's going to be a very unique thing, and it's one and done. So if you aren't in on grabbing it up, you're just going to miss it until maybe our 25th or our 30th. Who knows? We might bring it back.
We're going to make a handful of cases. We may ship some to some wine club members. Maybe not. We're trying to figure this out. But it'll be gone in a month or something or less.
Very fast. So anyway, that's our big news. And let's jump into Chardonnay. So you bottled the Chardonnay today.
Yes.
And then we have the previous vintage, which one of the things I do want to point out is this glorious color. It is so bright and pretty and clear. It's really lovely on both wines. And I
on both
love
wines,
that.
but the older wine obviously is carrying a year's worth of age. It's not brown, but it's browner than this,
darker.
Right?
I don't know that that's.
It's not going to come across,
here,
but if you were to pour them in glasses, you'll see it. We can see it from here.
This is more like the pulp of a lemon, and this is like the outside of a lemon.
Yeah, there's a little more slightly straw and slightly darker straw. Oh, nice description, jackass.
Okay. So there's basic notes
that
I definitely smell are very consistent.
Cool.
They're very typical Chardonnay. I mean, this is very varietally correct. It's got some stone fruit, a little minerality. I love that. And
go ahead. So I was gonna say stone fruit, meaning fruit with big seeds in the middle, like apricots and stuff like that.
And peaches and stuff.
Peaches. Yeah.
And I just can't believe how clean and clear this brand new one is. I expected, being just bottled, that it might have little funk to outgrow.
Tomorrow and the next day it'll start getting that, right? Like the
little bottle shock.
Little bottle shock will happen here for a couple weeks, and
which is why you don't get it yet. But we'll release it when it's a happy individual.
We definitely do try to hold on to the wines for a few weeks until the bottle shock has calmed down and stuff like that.
Talk about bottle shock?
I don't know, not necessarily. Okay, the movie. No.
Well, so I was just talking to Annette, our friend at Amio Gallery, River Gallery, down in Santa Fe, and we were talking about this because she wanted to learn why we don't release certain wine. Like, there's a pause. You bottle it, and then there's a pause, and she... they are using one of our licenses, so they're almost a secondary tasting room in some ways, but it's privately owned. They're fabulous. They're on Canyon Road, across from the compound. Beautiful place. Wonderful art, and you can taste all of our wines there.
Or a lot of them. Not all of them, right? 20 wines?
Pretty much.
Really?
I don't know it. Okay. I don't know that any are not on her list.
Okay.
But she's eager to get a couple that
have been
waiting
off.
on. And we were talking about, well, what needs to happen is, you know, the wine has been as a big family happy in a tank, and then you separate it out and put it into a bottle, and each individual bottle is now a little homesick. It misses its family. It's so sad. It is a living thing. Wine is a living thing, and it's changing, and so it needs to come into its own. It's kind of like, oh, this is so sad. It's kind of like when you send your daughter off to college.
We're not doing that yet, don't worry.
Anyway, so the wine has to come into its own and become its own happy individual in the bottle, and that's when it's gone through the bottle shock, and it's now back to all those flavors and things that the winemaker knew it had, and is why it got bottled at that point.
Interesting though. Individual bottles are their own individual living organism as well, and so a bottle to bottle, they are, no matter what, gonna be just a little bit different. Hopefully not in a bad way. Like, they shouldn't be that different, but they will be a little bit different, which is kind of crazy.
It would take a very advanced palate to be able to like differentiate.
Yes. But every once in a while, you'll buy like 5 wine. You know, say 3 wines. Say you get 3 wines from our wine or Case Club Wine Club or whatever. The first wine you taste, the second wine you taste like several months later, and the third wine you taste several months later. Then that, you're like, you know, that's ideally you'd wait 1 year in between, but most people are probably drinking those 3 bottles within the 3 months or something like that,
or 3 days,
and they'll be like, man, I just loved the wine the one time, and it was really good the second time, but just not that, just some little spark of magic. That it could be your mood, it could be the food, it could be lots of different things, the glass somehow, or it could be there's a small difference in one bottle to the next, and there often is. And
well, there's also like, where did you store it, and how did you store it? Was it laying on its side or standing up?
Was this one towards the back of the fridge where it was colder versus the one that was right in front of it, didn't get as cold the whole time? Or was it, you know, like a million different little factors that could have changed the entity inside, but also those entities aren't exactly the same no matter what. For all time, too. Which is weird. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, tangent, sorry.
But, I mean, it's fascinating. That is why, as you get into wine, the more you want to know about wine, the more you feel like you need to learn, the more you feel like it doesn't matter. It never stops. I guess that's where I'm at. Okay, so taste this one.
Oh, yeah. I was like, cheers. Hey, honey, what's happening? Don't dye your hair on Saturday, you know, whatever.
All right. So I posted a photo that has my quintessential bleach blonde, platinum blonde hair, because I happened to go onto a beautiful website called the Great American International Wine Competition that I have been lucky enough to judge for many years now. And as you open up the page, it gives you options of things that you might want to look at, entering the competition or finding out about the judges. And so you see the find out about the judges, and they're cropped out of the large capacity of judges that they have to fill the page is talking about our phenomenal judges. We have the best judges, it says, and there's my head right above the logo, and it was hilarious. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, right? So I shared it, and so many people private messaged me saying, I love your hair like that. Why don't you do the bleach blonde? And I had it for some time. And so, you know, towards the end, it was about here, and I do the big curls and is
that where the picture, is that what the picture showed or no?
No, it was a pixie cut with that.
Okay.
But there's people have started, you know, messaging me saying, well, I really liked it in this or whatever. So I've been playing with this idea going back to the platinum. I miss it. I don't like my current hair color, and my husband is saying, So do you think I should dye my hair?
All right.
Back to the platinum blonde. It will stay long, but maybe I might wear it down more if I don't hate the color, right?
And your hair's longer now, so it's going to be a different scene a little bit.
It will be a different scene.
And it's growing on me a little bit in some ways. But those who love it are going to write to you and say, I love that. But what I'm saying is the people who didn't like it should say, like, you know, you look better this other way. Love you both ways, of course, but you look better the other way. I just want to hear that there are people on my side, too, that don't think that that's the best look, you know, necessarily.
I think a bunch of people are going to say, I don't think the husband should tell the wife how to do her hair.
No, and I'm not saying how to or what to. I'm just saying, hopefully
it was a hard press. It was a hard press. I gotta say, it did remind me a lot of when he wanted to do the giant burly beard, and
I cut it off
begged
before I probably would have on my own.
It was a long time.
It was a year or two for sure.
Dealing with what I found very unappealing, but I love him, and I found him attractive even with the ugly, horrible beard. So
anyway, just throwing all this out there.
Weigh in.
Weigh in.
We need
weigh in if you wish.
And you know, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
She is, and that's totally fine with me. By the way, I'm not saying my wife must be the way I say she must be. I'm not that kind of guy.
Well, if you were, I'd be 20 pounds lighter, but we're working on things.
I don't even say that though.
No, thank God, or you would be divorced. But you know, I mean, we got to take things little by little.
Couldn't we, in our 40s, couldn't we all lose 20? You know, we probably all could.
That's a good answer. That's a better answer. That is a better answer, sir. Okay.
Back to the wines. So is this the middle one now still again?
So.
Okay. I liked them both. This one's I can see that this is the new one is a slightly janglier at this point. But I feel like this will be that in a year. I feel like we're right on course. I feel like these are the best two Chardonnays that we've ever made. I'm really excited about them. They're absolutely sensational. I love the color and the glow, which when we are judging, that does make impact. If it's clear and the right color, generally you're going to get full points. But if it is luminescent, which both of these kind of are, a little bump up, and that is so nice to see. So that is really, really nice, really beautiful. I love the nose. I really feel like it's so spot on. It's so clean and clear, and I think that's really, really important. There's no skunkiness on a brand new wine just bottled. That's very rare.
I think this is very important. I'm excited.
I think Chardonnay is my favorite white that we make. Honestly,
yeah, it's really grown to be so, right?
It didn't used to be.
I mean,
I don't
aside from your rosés, which are like just
the rosés is third category, but also made like a white, so I consider them all together. I love the rosés; those are my favorites. But when we're making just a pure white,
so then you're talking Riesling, Gruner, and Chardonnay.
At this point, yeah.
And
we've played around with a bunch of different stuff here and there, and consistency wise, I like the Chardonnay better.
You're killing it with the Chardonnay.
I want a lighter bodied white that we just nail. That I want a lighter bodied white to be my favorite, but right now it's still the Chardonnay, and we do make this in a lighter body style.
I was going to say, because a lot of people think of Chardonnay as the oaky Chardonnay, and this is not oaked. And so that's a big part of why you get such clean, clear fruit, is because it's not oaked. You're not getting those like overly creamy, oaky, big, bold Chardonnays, which have their place.
Totally.
I'm not going to turn that down either, but I love.
I feel like we do better this way though with this one, or whatever.
And a nifty way to cover up a flaw is to add a little oak overdressing, right? So I think you've done a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers. You know, it almost looks like Marilyn Monroe hair, which would be platinum blonde.
I'd call it more like straw.
So, we're now going to move on to questions. So
which would be great in a hairdo color.
The first question happens to be carbonic maceration. What is it? And so we mentioned at the top that we are going to release our first Beaujolais Nouveau. And so that is carbonic maceration. What does that entail? What does that mean?
All right. We've never done it. I've never done carbonic maceration, so I'm scared to death of this process.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
It basically, from what I know so far, which I have not studied up on yet, but Chris and I were even talking, super in depth about it or whatever. But basically, you put all the grapes into one vat that's tall and skinny, and
instead of breaking them open and separating them from the
you don't press them, you don't crush them, you just put the whole clusters into a tank that's tall and skinny. The weight on the bottom crushes the berries and starts making the juice is released, and so there's juice down there. You have in the tank added already your yeast, so it's ready to start fermenting as soon as it comes in contact with sugar, which as soon as the grapes start going in there, it starts fermenting. The whole tank fills up with CO2, so there's no oxygen to cause spoilage in theory, hopefully, please. And slowly but surely all the yeast gets into the berries, but each individual berry is its own private fermentation, that the ones that haven't been crushed or broken open or whatever. So the day that so after like say a week or two.
That's so cool to me.
I know. So then you take all of those whole berries and clusters out of this thing. Most of them are broken, but there's still probably call it 30% or something are not broken in their own little individual fermentations. You press this off. Those little berry fermentations are going slower, so when you press it, it's got a lot more sugar still in the thing. Then you take this juice into a secondary fermenter, another fermenter that could be the same tank, whatever you want to call it. And it continues fermenting. And then you clarify it, you filter it, you probably try to stop any fermentations that are going on.
Ideally. And
you bottle it and then open those bottles as soon as humanly possible. So because they're probably not as stable as they could be. So
It's like
that's why there's
organic wines, not organically grown, but organic wines. You should also be drinking this same way, people.
Right. Just the second you buy them, take them home and drink them, because they're not going to last, and maybe not even a couple months.
Yeah, in the same way. There are some really talented people that are doing some amazing things, but
maybe, yeah.
I'm so excited about this, though.
So anyway, we're gonna do that and see how it goes, and have a big fun party.
It's going to be amazing. Awesome. We're probably going to drink through most of it there at the party, and whoever is there at the party is going to probably buy and take it. You know,
ideally we drink most of it and sell through all of it within a few weeks.
To be that.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully everyone that buys it to drink now at a party within the next month or two. I
do want to just put in there, because I have had on the show a couple of times talking about Beaujolais, and that I love that as an inexpensive, really fun red wine. You chill it down. It's so great.
Same region, different process for the winemaking.
So the Beaujolais Nouveau is a very specific thing. Yeah. Beaujolais that is not Nouveau is not going to be this kind of specialty.
Comes from Beaujolais. Beaujolais is a sub-region of Burgundy, actually, believe it or not.
With that damned Gamay grape.
But they use the lesser cousin, the Gamay, or whatever, and they look down upon, which I love Gamay. But
I do too. But it is a little foxy and funky, and
it is it's related to Pinot Noir, which is the noble one that they use over there, or whatever. But
of course. So
anyway,
thank you. I love that just happenstance.
Right.
Okay. So the next question is how to properly open a bottle with a wax seal, bubbly with a saber, or cork without a corkscrew. So these are multiple segments, right? So
okay, so totally different scenarios. Okay, let's do the first one too.
Yeah, wax.
So wax. What do you do with the wax?
So
cut the wax.
You cut the wax off entirely
from below the wide part on the.
It's actually best to cut up through the wax and
remove
the whole
whole wax off, and then
because otherwise it's just a nightmare, and you get some of the pieces in there as well.
Yep,
that's a real bummer.
Okay,
and there are people that are doing that. Our friends, Sean Sheehan. Sheehan Winery. He does that.
He's got a little tab in his wax though.
That's really nice, and that's a clean cut.
Yeah, so then you can pull the tab like on our PVC ones or whatever, and then you can leave the wax on the neck instead of the PVC or the foil or whatever.
Yeah, and Sean was gonna be a doctor and a scientist, and so he thought these things through.
Right.
So then saber.
Saber is in cut off the neck?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cut with the sword.
So everything with opening a wine comes from where the top of the thing gets wide. So basically, if it's not something with a pull tab, you're basically going to cut right underneath this neck.
The big lip.
The bigger lip on the bottom side, and then remove all of that. Saber, it's going to be different. So a saber is basically a sword or a machete, call it whatever you want to. And this only happens with
machete. Doesn't sound as sexy,
right? So it only happens with wines under pressure. It was, probably the British military that liked to do this first at the end of a battle or some shit. I can't remember. Oh yeah, something. So anyway, so it has the wine in the bottle has to be under pressure, meaning effervesced. It has to be a sparkling wine in order for this to work. You're going to remove the foil. You're going to remove the cage, which is the wire cage that's holding the cork on. And then, basically, you're going to run the edge of the saber up, but like with force, pressing against the bottle and just tink. And when it hits that lip, so at a certain angle, you gotta kind of have a 45. I've never done this. You got to have a kind of a 45-degree angle, or somebody will tell me I'm wrong, but basically
we were trained on this in our sommelier classes, and
but never got to do it
really,
because
really old
right?
knowledge.
So and basically when you hit that lip, in theory, the whole neck of the whole top part just breaks off clean, and there shouldn't be shards that fall back inside. Like, it should just be a clean. And
you can run your finger on that too.
Exactly.
Which I've seen it a bunch of times.
But you're scared to also try it because then you could cut your finger in theory or in your mind. So anyway, that's the way that should work, and you can do it on bottles of all sizes. Our sommelier teacher did it on a one of these ones. What's I can't remember the big. No, it's bigger than that. It was bigger than that. Whatever it was a massive one that they needed, like a
cantilever.
Yeah.
To help pour into the glasses.
And it had to be a continuous pour for something like 2,000 glasses of.
It was
bubbly
insane. Yeah.
That they were serving to dignitaries and blah blah blah. Yeah.
He's phenomenal. We did all of our sommelier certifications through him, and he's just incredible. And
but the saber thing we can all do ourselves, and we can, if you have a sword, if you have a large heavy knife, you need the knife to carry momentum with it.
Heavy is key.
That's
so don't go into your kitchen and you're like, hey, I've got this giant butcher knife.
I've got a 12-inch cleaver for meat. It's like, no, that's not gonna work. You need a machete at least.
What about an axe?
An axe would do it. An axe would do it.
What if it's not sharp?
No, I think you need a sharp axe.
How do you know if it's sharp?
You got to sharpen your axe. I mean,
I don't know. I
don't either.
I know that there's an axe
but
out there,
I would make sure it was sharp. I don't know if maybe a dull axe would work, but I kind of doubt it. I feel like anyway. That's sabering 100%. Now you know what's up.
Yeah, and I think we didn't give you any lesson that you should take home, because that was terrible advice.
I think we should just try it though, and it's okay. You're not gonna have shards that you can't see, so like. No, bad idea.
Well, what if you're then drinking bubbly and you drink glass because some jackass
that would be bad. No, you gotta.
And it's like.
Only if you're if you're serving it to guests, but like if you're gonna do it yourself, you can look and see. Like I can see that there's nothing.
What if it's a nice bottle? You don't want to like throw it away, even though you think it. Cheesecloth.
You can run it through a few.
Cheesecloth over the glass, and then you pour that, and then it will keep the glass on top.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very nervous about this idea, and I have a bad feeling about our big party that we're going to end up sabering something.
You guys are going to be great. Don't worry about it.
And a little glass never hurt anybody. Luke Schreiber, can you weigh in on that? All right. And then the favorite I've seen on so many, YouTube things, whatever. I don't do a lot of TikTok, but I'm sure they're there. Opening a wine that's cork without a corkscrew. So everybody loves these. You bang the shoe on the bottom. You hit it on a tree. There's all these bizarre ways to open a bottle. Okay. How do you open a bottle when you don't have a corkscrew?
I've tried a lot of them because sometimes everyone doesn't have a corkscrew. And I feel like...
How classic is that?
Yeah.
Winemakers, wine people, they often don't have a corkscrew.
Sometimes there'll be 10 of us in a room and we'll be like, who's got a corkscrew? Oh, dang, nobody. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I've tried a lot of different things. Most of those things do work, sort of, but like banging a shoe on the bottom or whatever on the bottom, like you don't want to break the bottle right in the process, so that's why it's a shoe. You're not going to break the bottle, but you have to whack the crap out of it. Like you have to hit so hard to start pushing this stupid cork out.
Do you really want to take a bottle and then shake it really vigorously? Like that's not good for the wine inside. We talked about how it's a living organism.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
And I have done it this way, and it does eventually work once you figure out like how hard you really have to hit it. But you spill a bunch, you spill a decent amount, or it finally comes out, and then you're like able to like pull it out by hand or whatever. So maybe you don't spill, but it's ridiculous. But hey, Beavis.
Hey, you said it.
The best way I've found is to push it in and probably the back of a pen.
Don't use a back of a pen to push it in.
It's the only thing that the whole outside isn't gonna like.
I think I've had too much Chardonnay.
The cork will be in there, and then you have to like diddle it. I've lost everybody. And you have to push that in and pour the wine out for the first glass. After that, you could pour it pretty good. It's all ridiculous. It all sucks. It's not ideal. Don't do it if you can help it. But when you have to, I push the cork in.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the final question. Why petrol in Riesling? So this is a very short question, which is, I'm going to guess at what the meaning, right? Like,
why is
petrol is a description.
Why is that a descriptor of Riesling?
Yeah, and obviously there's not actually petrol in it, just to cover my bases for everybody. But there is a lot of really interesting characteristics that can come through on Rieslings, and Rieslings grown in different places are just phenomenal with soaking up the soil and the rocks and showing place. I love to talk about showing place because, you know, a lot of people like using the word terroir and also don't. And I think it's more friendly for a wider audience to talk about showing place. And that includes the rock source, where it's growing. And for me, petrol, love that. If we could emulate that, that would be amazing. We just don't have the soil that's going to be able to do that.
So in Germany, in the regions where it became most most famous for the British and for the I guess English speakers, I don't know. Maybe even the French think of this as well as like a main thing, but there was a lot of military were based over in Germany. Got their wine shops in Germany where they're growing just Rieslings.
I see where you're going.
Cabernet, you know, the
driest is Cabernet.
The dry, one of the driest is Cabernet, and they're trying to, and that's what they all were drinking or whatever. It's basically a Riesling grown on the slopes of the Mosel River, and those slopes are covered in slate rocks that have a high oil like you know, petrol in them. So the Riesling just kind of tastes naturally a little bit like gasoline, or not gasoline quite, but
there's aromas that smell like the best.
Sounds horrible, but it's so enticing. It's amazing. It's
the best element of what petrol could be.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like when you pull up to the gas station. It's not like that. It is a subtle, very beautiful aroma, and the
really goes well with those grapes.
Oh, and the thing that happens on the palate is that there is an oily kind of consistency, which does not mean that you taste gasoline whatsoever. It's just a consistency that adds a silkiness, a fuller body. It's really, really interesting. And
it does smell like it a little bit, though.
Well, we talked about, I just said smelling.
Okay,
But it
didn't
taste
like it.
Yeah. And so, you know, a lot of times people get very confused because they hear these things, you know, like, oh, tar? Ew, gross. I don't want tar.
Oh, my God.
Oh, see, he's cut off. But, you know, give it to me. But so I think that's a really important element. And Rieslings are one of those amazing wines that show that element. And so Alsace, which is just a phenomenal area for Rieslings.
And just south of the Mosel Saar in Germany.
So it's in France.
Yeah.
And they tend to be not petrol, but really show that either gravel or slate or
super minerality.
Yeah, and it's each one is very unique. It tastes like different rock.
Riesling picks up its terroir way better than some, or shows it, or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but
shows the place.
It's a little bit more of a blank slate in some ways. So Riesling is like a good one to like judge terroir and what the soil is bringing to the situation.
And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing an event in April at the American Consul General's home. I did one last year. It was phenomenal. Doing a new one this year. And I'm showcasing Rieslings from the West Coast and Southwest, taking them over and pouring them for dignitaries and in
the heart of Riesling country.
In the heart of Alsace. And we already have a crew from very different countries, from Greece to Israel to, of course, France.
How many countries? These are the guests. How many countries are the guests? Different countries are the guests from?
So far, I have 12 countries.
12 countries out of like 35 people, 40 people?
It'll be 45 people.
45 people. 12 different countries represented.
So far. And
dude, that's so badass.
It's going to be amazing. And so I'm still in the selection process. So if you make a phenomenal Riesling or know of one that you love that is from the Southwest or West Coast, message me. I'm still taking in samples, and I'm going to do my final selection here in February.
How many wines are you going to show? 6 or 8? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it'll be really exciting, and I'll share with everybody what happens there. But it's a big. Ooh, here we go, guys. What can we bring? It's gonna be
nice.
Fun. But showing that place, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're done with questions. We are way over time.
Sorry, guys.
All right. We do have some new job listings that we're putting out there. Keep an eye. If you need a job, just want to work with an awesome winery, we'll be posting those. And already talked about finding the guys skiing, and keep up on social media as we release more and more fun stuff for our 20-year anniversary.
Yay, 20 years.
Whoop, whoop. So buy a bottle, we plant a tree. Don't forget to keep drinking even though it's dry January.
There we go. Cheers, guys.